Hello. Good morning. I know I'm doing these a little bit earlier than I usually do them. But the evenings have been a bit crazy lately. So it just works a little bit better to try and fit him in during nap time. So he's just fallen asleep. So that's my time to get in there. So today what we're going to do are these 3 leaves. We've got one here, and one here. So remember yesterday I was talking about the fern stitch and the fly stitch. Well, yesterday we did the fern stitch and today we're going to do the fly stitch. So we're going to do 2 versions of the fly stitch. We've got the closed fly stitch and the open fly stitch. They look a little bit different, but you actually work them exactly the same. So what you can do is do the closed fly stitch first, and then if you would like to add some details with the open fly stitch, you can do that as well. So we're going to use all 6 strands. I'm just thinking I'm probably going to use these 2 colors. So they're the Anchor 213 and 215. Oh no, okay, hold on just one second. Oh golly, do you know what that was? Miles' passport! Yay! So sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, but that means we have the passport and we can go next Friday. So, yay! Oh, I'm so relieved. You have no idea. Okay, so what we're going to do is do the... jump right back in. Do the closed fly stitch for these. Then we'll do the open fly stitch on top, and that's only if you want to. I'll also show you, if there's time, if he doesn't wake up, the outline on this with just 1 strand, just so that we can, just to show you. Yeah, okay, so let's get started. I'm pretty sure this is going to look nice, this color. And we're going to use all 6 strands. So let me get a little bit here. I say, let me get a little bit, and then I pull like 6 feet of thread out. Oh gosh, I'm so happy. You have no idea. So this morning I got text that said, we'll come between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. And I was like, oh, okay. Just a nice small window of delivery there. But yeah, it's all done now. So, so exciting. Okay, let's zoom in. We'll do this one here. Okay, so for the very, very tip, because I want to have a nice pointy tip, I'm going to do 1 little straight stitch. And I'm going to do it about to here. So like that first little section. Okay, just 1 little straight stitch. So the next part, you're going to either go up on the left and down on the right, or up on the right and down on the left. It doesn't matter. It has the same look. So whatever you're more comfortable with, do it that way. So I like to go up on the left and down on the right, but you might see me swap. You never know. And you're going to come up right next to that. Okay, and then down on the other side. And then leave this loop like this, because we're going to come up inside this loop. All right. And you're going to come up right here where we went down for our first stitch. See? So don't go through the stitches, just go up the same hole. And then pull that tight. Remember, not too tight, because you don't want the fabric to be squished together at all. All right. And then we're just going to put our needle down on the other side of this thread. So if we put it down way down here, this would be the open fly stitch, because we're leaving open space between our stitches, but we're not going to do that. We're going to put it right down on the other side of that. So what we're going to end up with is a bunch of little stitches down the middle, like that, holding one stitch into like a little flying V. And that's kind of how I remember the fly stitch and the fern stitch separately, is because I say it every single stitch along. Someone's probably already going to know what I'm going to say. But you know, when you're little and you made those little V's, and you'd be like, oh, it's a bird flying. And it's just like a little V like that. And sometimes you'd put a little line in the middle. That's what these look like to me. Those little birds that you'd put at the very top of your paper and say, oh yeah, they're flying away. So there we go. And we just do the next one. So come up on the left, down on the right. Sarah, I just had to run away because Miles's passport came. Ah! So I literally started the video and my doorbell rang. I was like, oh my gosh, of course. But he's got it. Yay. Okay, so for this one, we do exactly the same as the first one. Up here. And then pull that. And then down. I like to put all of my middle stitches, these little tacking stitches, on this line here. That's how I know that they'll be all nice and straight, and then they won't be like, you know, all weeble wobbly all over the place. But if they are, it's totally fine. So don't worry if you're like, oh wow, this isn't very nice and neat. The other thing is, have a think if you want to do an outline or not. So that's another little like optional thing if you'd like to do an outline on these or not. Totally up to you. But if you don't want to do an outline, also keep an eye on the outside of this line. So you don't want some to be like way out here and then others to be kind of less than, you know, because then the edges won't have a nice even shape. Saying that, nature is also not perfect. So please, 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 please. Okay, we're back. Please, please, please don't finish your leaf and then think, oh, this is awful. I've got to start it over. It's fine, okay? Oh, Sarah says, I'm nap trapped in the car and was missing your company so much already. Oh. Oh. Yeah, Sarah came over this morning. We had a little coffee. I got to play on the swing with her little girl. So all we're doing here is we're just filling this up with these little stitches, and you can see that it's making this little kind of like nubby little rib down the middle, almost like I don't know, like a zipper down the middle or something, you know? I've got a comment. I can see it in the corner of my eye. Good morning from the US. Can't stay long since I have to head to work, but so fun to see one live. Hello. So I think I'll do today is do this one leaf and show you the extra little things that you can do, and then also do the details and just keep it all in one video, because this is kind of short. It's not really, you do the exact same stitch over and over and over. So you really don't have to see me stitch 3 of the same leaf. Do you know what I mean? And that way you don't have to have an extra little video to watch. That's kind of telling you extra things you can do with the same leaf, if that makes sense. So we're almost filled in. I do love these leaves so much. I think they look so pretty. But I also know that some people don't like this detail down the middle. And that's just personal preference. So there's nothing, like, if this is how the stitch is supposed to look, so that's fine. But if you don't like that, that's also fine. So I'm kind of going to show you what else you can do to make it, to kind of cover that up a little bit if you don't like it. I'm going to do my last one right here, and then I'll add just a little straight stitch for this here, or you can extend this little tacking stitch all the way down. So that's kind of two ways you can do it. If you want to keep the leaf separate from the stem, or if you want to just add the bottom part as your little last one like this. Reese says, I like them too. Yeah, I think they look nice. So we've got just this last tacking stitch. Instead of being just right on the other side of that thread, we're just going to make that long. And I did say you can make it short and then do a straight stitch if you want to, or you can just omit that. Totally fine. Okay, let me flip this over. I do love the way the back looks, and a couple times I've actually flipped my hoop over and done the fly stitch on the back. I'm going to show you in a minute. If you're like, Tori, we can't see. Do the fly stitch on the back, and then on the front, it looks like this. Do you know what I mean? How cool is that? I think it looks really cool. Okay, so what you're going to do with this is pick your color. You can use one color for all three leaves. So we've got one here, and one here. Or you can do different colors for each leaf. It's totally up to you. I'm going to show you now the details that you can add if you want to make them look like this with the little veins like down the middle and then kind of connecting each side. So this kind of, you know, vein detail. So what we're going to do is take a different color. You can use the same color if you want to, but I'm going to use a different color so that it's like pops a little bit. And I'm going to use 3 strands because I just want to have a little line to show it's different. You can use 6 if you want to have like a nice bulkier kind of look and like really cover that up. I'm going to use 3, I think. 4, I think. I thought 3 would be good, but maybe 4. Yeah, 4. So 4 strands of the lighter color. Let me just separate this really quickly. There we go. And then we load our needle up. All right, so what we're going to do on top of this is the open fly stitch. So I showed you the closed fly stitch where you put your stitches very close together, but the open fly stitch is exactly the same, except we're just going to space our stitches out a little bit farther. So it's going to have this look on top of this. So let's zoom in. Believe it or not, I have the light on. It just looks a bit, well, it's a bit cloudy out now. So let's do our 1 straight stitch for the top, and that's only if you really want to add it. And you can make this go down as far as you want to, really. So it's just adding those little details. I'm going to go between these two. Okay, so we've got our first straight stitch. Come up on the left, and instead of going right next to it, like we did the very first time, so our stitches are almost touching and very, very close, we're just going to space them out a little bit. And this one's 4 strands. So it's going to have a bit of a finer detail, but not like microscopic, you know? So we're down on the other side, just like before. We're going up in the same little hole, if I can find it. If I can find it. There we go. Yeah? And you're going to pull that tight. Okay? And make your next stitch quite long. So maybe 3 stitches down, 2 stitches down. It depends on how far apart you want them. And then come up on the left again. So remember, we're just adding these details. This is completely optional if you feel like you like the look of the leaf how it is with all these little boobs like that. Boobs. Bums all down the middle. Then just leave it. That's totally fine. Oh no. I clearly didn't put this in tight enough. I have one of these, I don't know what they're called, wing nuts maybe? This thing at the top. One of them is a little bit stripped. So when I turn it, it doesn't actually tighten. So I've got to sort that out. I've got to find one. Maybe when I go to America, I can just give it to my dad and he'll be like, oh, I've got one of those. Okay, pull that again. And then put it down. And let's do our next one. Now, could you get the same effect with just using a straight stitch? Yes, of course you could. But I quite like this way. It's all personal preference. And I like the stitch-alongs because you can use the stitches in a little bit different way to kind of show different things. So I could just use the straight stitch again, but then we'd be doing the exact same stitch that we did yesterday, which was just doing, you know, a pattern with our straight stitches. And for this one, I'm just going to put it on the other side of this to tack that down into place. And then we've got our closed fly stitch in the background and our open fly stitch on the top. So let me zoom out and you can see what it looks like. Oh, I nearly just tried to zoom out on my embroidery. What is going on today? So that's how it looks. Now, the other thing I said is you can do an outline. Now, if you'd like to do an outline, I'll show you how that looks. Again, totally optional. If you'd like to just keep it like that, you can. I would suggest a nice straight stitch outline around it because you got the same color and we're just going to connect this one to this one, this one to this one. So I'll show you how that looks on the one side. This one here is actually quite low, so I'm going to keep that as the bottom. You could also do a stem stitch if you want. But I think this will be quite effective. Just a little outline on there. Do a split stitch around there if you want. You don't have to do an outline if you don't want. Let's put this one right at the tip. Now, some embroidery artists, they like to outline every single thing, and they like to do it with one strand of black thread. If that's you and you like to do that, then do it. That's totally okay. If you like to outline everything, then go ahead and do that. If you don't like to, you don't have to. So that's the beauty of embroidery, is that you can kind of think, how do I want it to look? Do you want it to look like a coloring book? Do you know what I mean? By the coloring book look, you've got those nice bold lines that you just color in, which is kind of what some embroidery artists do. They kind of fill it in and then do that straight stitch or stem stitch or whatever stitch they want to use, you know, over top of it so that it has that nice outlined look. I think it looks so sharp sometimes and really like finishes off your embroidery so that it's like crisp and sharp. Does that make sense? Sometimes people just like to outline in the same color. So you can do a nice green outline around the whole thing. Some people do not like an outline at all, and they're like, I'm not putting all the extra work in because they don't like the look of it. So this is where you can make your embroidery stand out and be a little bit different than other people's, just by doing a couple different extra things, you know? Okay, so we've got that. I still feel like it needs like another, this one's just not quite, I think I can make it go like that. that looks funny. Don't like it. Don't like that. Nope, don't like that. That's coming out. So just like that. That's enough. Okay. So let me do a little knot on the side. And when you pick your colors, you can pick colors that are very clearly in the same color family. So I've got 215 and 213. You can tell they're in the same color family because they're 215 and 213, which often will show one color just a little bit darker and a little bit lighter. Same with this one, 217. Same color family, they just get a little bit darker or a little bit lighter as you go up or down the numbers. Or if you don't want to have that look, you can choose a completely different color and have it really like pop and stand out that way. So entirely up to you. Whatever you want to choose, that's fine. Let me just quickly show you the straight stitch outline. And I think that's it for the details for this week, because other than showing like a full satin stitch background, I don't think I have anything else. So I've got one strand of the same color as the bathtub. And let's just show, you know I love those colors. Yes, Hannah. We both love these so much. They're like my favorite. 214 is probably one of my favorite greens. And I don't have any left. None. So, not happy about that, am I? I use it so much. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little straight stitch outline. And let's see what it looks like. You can use long stitches for this. I've got a dark color, so you're not going to be able to see like loads and loads and loads. Went through the knot, knew I did. Hannah says it's the prettiest light green. It really, really is. It's one of my favorite colors. Now by outlining, all you're doing is you're just making it a little bit, like stand out a little bit. So if you've got a color that really pops off your fabric, you don't really need to do this. This might be just an extra step that possibly you don't need to do. That's why it's a detail. Ooh, I think Miles is waking up. He's moving a little bit. And he's awake. But just gives that extra little, like something else. Do you know what I mean? Oh, wait, no, he's going back to sleep. Oh, maybe we'll get more than 30 minutes today. You can do this up all the way around the whole thing and then also around the shower. I'm not sure I would do it around the little nubs there, these little things, unless you really, really want to. Just depends. Depends on how you want it to look, because sometimes when you have really, really, really tiny stitches, if you don't do them like really, really well, they can look a little bit like they're all going every which way. So sometimes it's for something that's really little like that, you can just let it go and that'll be fine. Ooh, right in my finger. Okay, and then let me zoom out and you can see the difference of how that looks. See how it just gives it like a little bit something extra and makes it look a little bit like bolder than it was before. Now, sometimes it can look weird if you outline some things and not everything. And sometimes it looks really, really nice if you outline just a couple things and it makes them like really stand out, you know? So let me do this part here. Working with one strand, I always have to do the quilter's knot and do so many wraps because it always goes through the fabric. Okay. Just gives it that like little extra something. The other thing is take your time for this, because if you do it too quickly and rush, you'll really see if the stitches aren't where you want them to be. Like I have a feeling this is going to be too big of a stitch, so let me just put it a little short. And I'll do one more here in the middle. Miles is trying to go back to sleep. I've got the monitor here. But he's trying to go back, and it's so funny because he keeps moving all around, shuffling around. He's like, "Ooh, I want to." He's not crying yet. He's just moving around. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do one long stitch straight across there. There we go. Let's put this up here. How nice does that look? I think it looks good. This is another one of those things where you don't necessarily need to do it. So if you feel like yours looks good how it is, or if you've got a really nice color that pops off your fabric, you don't have to do this. You don't have to take the time, especially if you haven't got a ton of time anyways, you know? Pause due to poor connection. Of course it is. Okay, last one, last stitch. Then I'll zoom out and you can have a look. He's definitely awake now. He's just looking around. Okay. There we go. So I stopped here. You can see how it looks. Just a little bit more like finished, you know, when it's around like that. I think it looks good. So that's what we did today. That's kind of it for details day, really. This wasn't details day. This was closed fly and open fly, which is here. Don't forget to do these two things. And I just showed you how to add those optional details on your leaf and on your shower pipe and shower head. So enjoy. I'm pretty sure that almost all the videos are on YouTube, but I will check again today just to make sure, and then upload yesterday's and today's there as well. So just in case you wanted to watch there, I'll also put them all in a playlist so they're all together and you don't have to search for each one. Make sure at the weekend you're drinking lots of water, getting your rest and all that kind of stuff. And if you need to catch up, then you can. Remember, you're not behind at all. Work at your own pace. Don't feel bad about it. Okay. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So enjoy your weekend and I will see you on Monday. Okay? Yee. Have a good one, and I'll talk with you later.